Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Tseho, and I pray that you're going to find today's video very helpful. We are talking about the mindset of the 1%. Now, I had filmed this video yesterday and I accidentally deleted it, so I have to redo it. So, let's get into the video. So, from the first point, one thing that is a common thread among people who are rich, the millionaires, the billionaires, the 1%, is that they all use the power of imagination. They use the power of imagination and they all say that they visualize. And the importance of this is first of all to realize that we're always visualizing. Sometimes we visualize or imagine things that are good for us, but sometimes we imagine the worst, and this is what fear is. Whenever there is something that we want to do, sometimes our first reaction is to think about our reasons of why things can possibly go wrong, and we get these fears. And sometimes the negative side is that's where we end. But with the 1%, they spend time meditating on the outcome that they actually want to see. Now, if you think about it, there is absolutely nothing that we achieve without actually visualizing. If I want to go and drink some water, I have to first visualize myself doing it. It's like I see it in a picture and then I get up and I go and do it. If I'm thinking about a trip and I want to go to Harare, I'm going to first see myself getting ready for this trip, buying a bus ticket, packing my bags, and actually going. And in order to do it, I would have to have visualized it first. And so, rich people, what they have realized is that we're always visualizing, and the things that we visualize, we achieve. So they visualize on purpose. Whereas the rest of us, we do visualize, but sometimes accidentally, and most of the things that we imagine are not positive things that are good for us. And the thing is that the way that our mind is that we often fall to our default settings, and those settings have been put in place by us, the way that we think, the way that our parents who raised us think, our teachers, the community around us, how people treat us, influence, make us become who we become. And so sometimes because of childhood experiences, whether good or bad, and traumas, we have a mindset that needs us to renew the mind. And so we have to change the way that we think. And visualization or imagination can help us to achieve the things that we want to do. So there's a story in Genesis 11. It's the Tower of Babel. And sometimes we think about the Tower of Babel, we think about the negative side, the fact that these people wanted to build a tower that goes up to the heavens, and God saw that they had thought an evil thing. And so he decides that he's going to go among them and confuse their language. Otherwise, they will achieve the thing that they have imagined. And sometimes we just think about the negative side of the story, but we miss the information that's right in front of our eyes. That when we imagine something, if we continue to hold on to it, we will achieve it. And so, yeah, that's the first point, the power of imagination. Now, point number two of the things that I've realized about the 1% is that they accept no excuses. So there's a funny verse. It's probably my favorite, funniest verse in the Bible that I'm going to read for you just now. And it says, Proverbs chapter 26, verse 13. A lazy man says, "There's a lion on the road. A fierce lion is in the streets." And obviously, the lazy man is offering this as an excuse of why he mustn't go out and work and achieve things so that he can look after himself. And so, yeah, so the 1%, they offer no excuses. And If perhaps they're in a business that's not working, the best they would do is change into another business that will work. But they don't sit and make excuses of why something cannot happen. And a lot of us are wired, again, to accept the easiest road. We haven't really taught ourselves to push past our discomfort, to push past the comfort zone and go into a new territory where we have never experienced and see what can come out of it. But this is the one thing that the 1% do. They are not lazy, they are diligent. In fact, the Bible says a diligent hand makes one rich, whereas a slack hand, uh, what does it say? A slack hand causes poverty, but the hand of the diligent makes rich. And so the 1% are the type of people who are willing to push past the pain. And so many of us, like, so, let me just give you a simple example. When we want to lose weight, we'll try for the first week, especially in January when we set our New Year's resolutions. We'll try for that first week, and before we know it, we have flopped and we've given up and we've failed, and that's the end of the story until the next January. At school, when things are hard, mathematics was hard for me. I used to easily give up, and it was absolutely not my favorite subject. And there's so many things that we think, like learning a language, we think we can't learn a language, and we just dismiss it as, oh, it's difficult. But the 1%, they know that the mind is a powerful thing, and if you put something to your mind, if you tell yourself that I'm going to do it, they know that they can achieve it. And so they're quite diligent about what they do. And then the third point is the 1%, they work for legacy. And most of us, we work for the here and now. We work just to look after ourselves. And this is where the mindset where people think that to be, yeah, the Bible does say a contentment with godliness is great gain. And a lot of us, we've just accepted that as enough. And we think to desire more is to be ungodly, that we think that we're full of the flesh and we're not full of the Spirit of God. But the Bible actually tells us that the righteous man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. It says in Proverbs 13, verse 22, a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children, but a sinner's wealth is laid up for the righteous. And with the 1%, we see that idea of a legacy because a lot of them, millionaires and billionaires, they have got more money than what can take care of them. They cannot finish the money that they have got, but they keep working and they keep expanding and they keep growing and they keep going and achieving. And it's because they're thinking in terms of legacy. And sometimes this legacy is not just to pass on to their children, to their descendants only, is to pass on to the community. And you see them getting into the community and doing charitable works because they are not limited just to think of themselves alone. I was listening to Myron Golden this week, and I've listened to his message on why the rich, why evil people are rich and poor people, um, and good people are poor. He's done that message before, and I saw a new one that he's done recently, so I checked it out. And he was just really painting a fascinating picture. Uh, First of all, I won't go into the details of what he was saying because it's a long story. But the children of God, when Adam and Eve fell, they essentially handed the keys of the kingdom to the enemy. And you see from the beginning that the sons of the enemy, the sons of the devil, they begin to build cities, and cities were like kingdoms. And so they've been doing this from the beginning. Even when Satan comes and tempts Jesus, throw yourself down and all the kingdoms and the riches that you see, I will give it to you. Um, it's because it's something that was in his hand, handed down to him by the children of God who were stewards of this earth. Anyway, long story short, the enemy's people have been building kingdoms for ages. And the children of God, while the enemy's people have been building kingdoms, they've only been building houses. So essentially, the children of God are just thinking about themselves for the here and now today. Whereas the children of the enemy, they've got a long-term plan. When you've got a kingdoms, you've got influence. And so when we think about building wealth, think of the influence that we can have. Even in terms of serving God, God instructs his people all the time, do not forget the poor. Do not forget the poor. And when we have got no wealth, we cannot, sometimes we have enough just for us to survive. To think of to look after another person is difficult. And so we get no influence in our communities. And the children of the enemy have got worldwide influence because of the access to money. Anyways, the point is, there, uh, God wants us to think of leaving behind a legacy instead of just building for me and myself alone. And point number 4, it's information. The 1% are always learning. We live in a day of information, and it comes at the speed of, I mean, it's just a touch of a button and we get the information that we want. But the 1% are readers. They are always upgrading themselves, always getting new information. Technology is always changing, and if you want to grow with what's happening, you always have to feed yourself new information. And wisdom is applied information. And I was looking at this proverb chapter 14 verse 24. The crown of the wise is their wealth. How much better to get wisdom than gold. The crown of the wise is their wealth. How much better to get wisdom than gold. And I was thinking about Solomon when God said, would you have wisdom or would you have money? And Solomon chose wisdom, and it was a great choice because you can have money and you can blow it. There's people who win lotteries, there's people who come into an inheritance from their family members. They have access to a lot of money very quickly, and very quickly they have blown it. Even money needs wisdom to be able to handle it. And when you've got the wisdom, you can produce the money. Solomon had the wisdom, so even if God had not blessed him with wealth, he would have been able to produce money, and he was producing money. If people will come to listen to Solomon for his wisdom, and they will bring gifts. When you appear before the king, you don't come empty-handed. They'll come with wealth. And think of the Queen of Sheba and the wealth that she brought for Solomon. Think of when he was building the temple and all these people that were building, giving to his work. So, anyways, those are the 4 points that I wanted to bring to you, that the rich have got a mindset, a certain way that they think. And if we want to grow in our careers or in building wealth, if we employ those mindsets, it will help to help us to grow and to achieve. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Until next time, bye bye.